Welcome to Crack Testing Interview. In this video, we are going to learn exceptions in Selenium WebDriver. Right. So what are the exceptions you have faced while working on your Selenium project? This is one of the most frequently asked interview questions. So here I have listed the exceptions in Selenium WebDriver. So I'll explain one by one with practical example. First, I'll start from that session not created exception, or you can say later state exception. Right. So we'll understand why this exception occurred and how to overcome. Right. Let me bring my Eclipse. So here I have created a script for navigate to Google page. So what I have done first, initializing the browser driver. Right. So I'm configuring the system property. I'm just command it right now. Directly I have initializing the browser driver now. Right. Without configuring the system property. How this is going to respond. Right. Now, if I try to run this, see it is throwing that, illegal state exception. Right. So you may face illegal state exception or you may face session not created exception as well. If you are getting this type of exceptions, we need to make sure whether you have a configuring the system property and path. So whatever you have given a Chrome driver .exe path, whatever you have given should be correct one. Right. So if you are not giving the correct path, then also you may face session not created exception. Right. Use and after if you are adding a system.set property, then also sometimes you may face session not created exception. If suppose usually the browser and browser driver version, right? Browser and browser driver version should match. This is called compatibility. If suppose it is not match, right? It is mismatch, then also you may face this exception. Right. So to overcome those exceptions, right? So you can use WebDriver Manager as well. Right? I mean, overcome the compatibility issue. Right. So then we have we'll go to the next exception. Next exception will be no such element exception. So this type of exception usually in the initial stage of learning, right? So that time you may face this type of exception a lot. Right. So we'll be understand it in practical way. So here I have created the script to navigate to Google page and to find the element. Find the element is a text box and enter some keyword over there. Suppose if I am giving a wrong ID value, I am trying to find the element with the locator as ID and given the ID value is here and enter some keywords. So here I have given ID is not correct. Just assume that if the element is dynamic, first time if you are given a value, that will work fine. Right? Second time if you are running the same script with the same value, right, same ID value, it will not going to work because that is a dynamic value. Just keep on changing. Right. Now here I have given an invalid one. So now if I try to run this, so now you may face no such element exception. Suppose if you go over here in the console, see it is saying that no such element exception. So if you want to overcome the exception, right, this no such element exception, you need to make sure that locator or whatever the value you have given should be correct. And also it should be unique one, right? It should not be duplicate one. It should be unique one. Right? The same ID value. If the element is multiple element is shown, then also you can able to see that no such element exception. In interview, usually you need to say what you faced and also how to overcome as well. Right. So the next exception will be no alert present exception. Right. We'll see what is the no alert present exception. So here, so in this no alert, here I just wanted to navigate to Google page and switch to the alert. Here we know that there is no alert will be there in a Google page. But just assume that if your application, some pop-up will be prompting. Sometime the pop-up will be shown. Sometime it will not going to show. Right? Just assume that if the pop-up is there, it should switch to the alert pop-up. Right? Now I will run this. So here there is no alert. So what happened? It is going to throw the exception saying that the no alert present exception, right? So how to overcome, if suppose in my application, sometimes the pop-up comes, sometimes it won't come. So how to overcome that? So we can write try catch block, right? Or implementing wait till alert is present, right? If the alert is present, then switch to the alert and close the alert. Otherwise, it will going to throw the exception and it will be continue the execution. So we can achieve this using try catch or wait till alert is present, method. Right. So the same way we have another exception, that is, frame. Suppose if I go over here. So this is another exception, no such frame exception. Right. So if I run these things, what happened here also, we know that there is no frame available in the Google homepage. So now you may face that exception saying that no such frame exceptions, right? Maybe initially the developer added the frame, right? So no, so the script is like, switch to the frame. Now the next release, the current release, there is no frame in the application, right? If there is a no frame, then if you run the same script again with the switch to frame, then you may face that no such frame exception, right? Otherwise, sometimes, if you have added a frame, name with a different name, right? If they are changing the name as well, then you may face the same exception, no such frame exception, right? So the next one will be, I hope this is clear. So next one will be no Windows exceptions, no such Windows exceptions. So here I'll show you that example. I'll go to ICICI Bank. So here no such window exception means if suppose I'm in this page, if I'm trying to open this, click on this open NRI account, here new window is opening over here, right? Now what happened in a driver, I'm just switching to this second window, right? After switching the window, I'm just closing the window, right? After closing that window, because I'm not switching to the home window now, I'm switching to the second window, I'm closing the window. Now I am trying to get the title of the particular page. So what happened? So that's what I have written a code over here. Initializing the driver, navigate to the ICICI page. So I'm just getting the window handle, store it in a home window. I'll be store it over here, right? Then clicking on a open NRI account, right? So then after opening, so now we have a two windows. So I'm just using a get window handles. I'm getting the window ID. Store it in a second window ID over here. So using this window ID, I'm switching to the second window. And what happened? I'm just closing the window. So after closing the window, the driver is not focusing, in the first window because the focus window is closed now. So now I am trying to get the title of the page. So that is where we could able to see window, no such window exceptions. I'll run these things. Opening the ICICI, clicking on a NRI. Now I click close that. So now I'm trying to get the title of the page. Here you can able to see no such window exception. Right. So now I am trying to switch to the window. Here we are trying to switch to the second window. Okay, so the driver focus will be second window only. So that is the reason we are facing no such window exception. All right. So the next one will be we have a element element not visible exceptions. So we have one more exceptions. WebDriver exception also will be there. I will show you one more example for WebDriver exception. So here in WebDriver exception, suppose the application is running the application, but still the driver wants to perform some action, right? So before performing the action, the application is closed. So now that time, WebDriver exceptions will be thrown. Now here I have added, the just in a typo error in this site. The site name will be the typo error is there. So what happen if I am running this? So here I could able to see the WebDriver exceptions will be there, right? So maybe, many times you can able to see the WebDriver exceptions. Sometimes, the driver wants to perform some action, right? So before that, the application is closed, that time also you may face WebDriver exception. That if you give a invalid things, then also you may face WebDriver exception, right? So the next will be, we have a not visible element not visible exception. There are many reasons, right? If we try to locate a web element which is not visible or hidden on the screen, then we'll be getting the element not visible exception, right? If we have used a duplicate export in our script, right? That means also, web element have a same export. Two element have a same export. That time also you are facing that not visible exception. If suppose Selenium is very faster than application, right? Then also you may face the not visible, element not visible exception, right? Sometimes web element is, not visible in the area. Suppose if you want to scroll down, then only you could able to view the particular element. So then also you are going to see the element not visible exception, right? So then we'll see is element not interactable exceptions. Suppose here I will show you in a Chrome. I'll navigate to Wikipedia. So here I just wanted to click this, link, right? I just wanted to click this drop down. Here you could able to see language. The ID is language, right? So ID is a search language, name is a language. Suppose if I try to find so attribute name equal to language. So now I am trying to write a export. So I'll show you that. So here you could able to see two element is there, which is the same name is a language. So here first element will be the hidden one. First one is a hidden one. Second one will be this one. That is what we want to perform. So the first element will be hidden one. So now if I'm using this name equal to language, so what happened? It is going to search the first element. First element is a hidden one. So what happened? It is going to throw element not interactable exception, right? So that's what I have added, Wikipedia in a name is a language. So if I try to click on that, what will happen? It is going to throw the first element is a hidden one, right? The second element only I want to perform. So here you can able to see element not interactable exceptions because the first element will be the hidden element. So that's the reason we are getting element not interactable exception, right? Suppose if you try to get the element location in the page, it will be going to show you that, 0. So that is the reason. See here, what I have done, I'm just navigate to the page. The first element will be in a 0th position because it is not showing in our UI page, right? So that if it is the X, what I have done over here in for loop web element I'm getting over here because we have a two element is showing, which is the same name language, right? Same, the locator is the name, value is a language. If I go with that, I have a two element is showing in my page. So what I want to click the second one. So how can I, use the select second one? So if I'm just taking the location not equal to 0, then you can click. So the first element anyway it is going to return 0 only, right? So the second it is going to check the second one. Second element it is not 0. So then it is going to click the second element. Right, this is the way we need to overcome. If suppose if it is a hidden one, the first element is hidden one, then we need to go like this. Right. So now we have seen element not interactable, then timeout exception. Timeout exception, sometimes, if WebDriver tries to find an element in the web page, before the page completely load, then exception will be thrown. That's what we have seen, no such element exception and all, right? To avoid these exceptions, we are adding a wait command, right? Wait for the particular second, then you just perform the action, right? However, if the page is, it's not loaded even after the wait statement, right? If I am giving a 5 second or 10 seconds, even that time also, it is going to, it's not, the page is not loaded. So that time what happens, the timeout exception will be thrown, right? So this is the way we need to understand why we are having timeout exception, right? Then we have another exception is invalid selector exception. So invalid selector exception, if I go over here, so what is invalid selector exception? So this exception occurs commonly when export locator is used, right? When selector is incorrect or syntax is invalid. So now what happened? I have given a invalid syntax over here, right? So in export it won't be coming. I mean this square bracket will not going to come, but I'm just added because I just wanted to get the exception. So I'm just added over here something like this, invalid syntax. So if I try to run this, so it is going to throw that exception, invalid selector exception, right? If I try to remove this, right? If I try to remove this square bracket, now the syntax is correct one. If I try to, if I try to click on this and run this now, so it is selected, right? Now there is no exception over here. Right, so this exception, commonly path locator is used only, we may face this type of exception, that is invalid selector exception. When selector is incorrect or, syntax is invalid. So that time you may face this type of invalid selector exception. Right. So the final one, stale element reference exception. This is one of the advanced level interview question. Right, stale is nothing but outdated, right? Web element has been, suppose if the web element is deleted on the page, element is no longer attached in the DOM, then you will face the stale element exception, right? I'll go over here in my, so what I have done, I'll open my, so I'm just navigate to flipkart.com. So I'm trying to find the element. So find the element and store it in a one variable. Then I'm just finding this element and clicking on this element. So after clicking that, what I'm doing, after clicking that, I'm just trying to navigate back. Again, already we have, located the element and store it in a variable, right? So with that variable, I'm trying to click on this top offers, right? So I'll show you this script for you. See navigation here in that web top offer link, right? So top offer link, I'm just trying to find the element, store it in a top offer. Then I'm just trying to find the travel link, then click on the link over here. Right, after clicking that, we are trying to navigate back. Then trying to click on the top offer because already we have, find the element and store it over here. Right, now what happened? Here if I am refreshing, if I am back to the page, so the whatever the element you have stored, right, that will be, null. So if you try to find with that particular referral variable, it will not going to find the element because that time only you may face stale element reference exception. That is outdated. Whatever you have already stored is outdated now. Right, now I'll run this. See what happened now. See, stale element reference exception. Right, this is completely, so if I want to, again, if I want to click that, again, you need to find the locator, right? Using the same, you have to come back over here. Then you can click the, I'll be adding one. So now I can able to click because now we are in the same page. So now only I'm finding the element, store the referral variable. So I can able to perform click operation. Right. So when I'm working, I face this type of exception number of times. I struggle a lot while searching solutions. Right. I hope this will help you a lot. Right. Thank you.